the SunPower MIG 140. Flux corded welder, does 110 to 220 volt. It does have a little adapter here on the back if you want to hook up argon gas to it. You will have to buy a separate hose and regulator for it. You can usually pick those up for about 40 to 80 bucks from your local welding supply center. Mine, which happens to be in town, had a couple to choose from. I've seen some of the lower end ones at around 40, some of the higher ones around 80 bucks. But if you want to run argon, you can, which means you don't have to keep this as a sole flux corded welder. But for the sake of argument, today we're going to be focusing more on the flux corded welding portion itself. We do have some adjustments here. There's no clicking in between. We are going to have to adjust based on whatever kind of amperage or voltage we're planning on running this on, whether it's going to be the 110 or it's going to be our 220. Should be able to be more than compatible for the 15 amp circuit. Just make sure that you have a 15 amp circuit and not a 12 amp. This house had a bunch of older ones, so we were on 12 for the longest time until I most recently upgraded my electrical panel. But for the sake of argument, we're just going to go ahead and use the flux corded portion for this weekend's video. We might do a video later down the road hooking it up to argon gas and trying it out with various wires. Now when you very first unbox this and you go ahead and open it up, your MIG gun and lead are going to be tucked in here nice and safely. We are going to have to go ahead and hook up the wire and adjust our feed rate, etc., and then we'll play with our settings. Well, I'm not going to go ahead and bore you through the entire setup process, but I might come back here momentarily and we'll play with the settings and you can kind of see how I found the happy middle ground for what it is that I want to run on. Today we're going to be running it on the 220. We may at a later time decide to go ahead and run it on the 115. Maybe we'll do that when we get the argon gas set up for it. They do give you a couple of adapters. Inside here you're going to have a 30 thousandths and a 25 thousandths. In the package of goodies that they give you of your consumables, they're going to give you a 9mm and an 8mm. They did give you a few different tips, which are pretty universal. So if you don't want to use any of these and you want to put yours on from Harbor Freight, you can, right? So they give you a 23 thousandths, they give you an 8mm, and then they give you a 1. Now I don't know about you guys, but one feature I do like about this welder already is that when you first get the welder and you have to set up your spool and the tension and the sizing and how much pressure you want down on top of the wire, and just trying to initially feed the wire through all the cable up and out through the gun. Well, they have a little wire feed button right here that feeds it out, and with that you can actually adjust the spring pressure you have against the spool. You can adjust the tension here on the wire itself coming through. And overall, I just thought it was a really neat feature that they had incorporated that into the machine. Now, I don't know what kind of project we're going to do today. Maybe we'll just make a makeshift ashtray or something like that. But we got our MIG 140 all set up. We're going to go ahead and cut a few pieces of metal using the Evolution chop saw. This thing is pretty freaking fantastic, man. If you guys didn't already see the video to this, I'll put a card up here in the corner for you guys to check it out. Alrighty, well, now that we got our pieces cut, we can strike a weld. Go ahead and take the Evolution down real quick. Give us some room up here. Alright, so first things first, we got our base plate, we got our edges, or we got our ends, and we got our widthwise, right? So that's going to be for our project. But before we go ahead and start making an ashtray, we're going to take this 1/4 inch steel, we're just going to set it up and then play with the settings a little bit. Maybe I'll run it down the joint, maybe I'll run it crisscross, I want to play with the settings, get my settings right before we go ahead and go into the 1/8 inch, in which case I can just tone it down from there. Yes, now any welder knows that you're going to want to grind and clean this up before you go welding to get the cleanest of weld out of it. But we're not using this for part of our project. We're using the other part for our project, and frankly, I don't care. I'm just going to run it and I want to see what it can do. So we're going to go ahead and fire it up. We're going to adjust our settings. We're not looking for the prettiest weld in the world in the beginning. We're looking to make our adjustments and fine tune it. All right, I'm putting a little video clip down here in the corner, but this thing has different settings. I'm going to start off on the lowest setting. I'm going to probably set the wire speed for, I would say about 5, because that's about what I'm used to. That's about what I run at. But we're going to go ahead and start it off on the lowest setting here. I'm going to take a peek and we'll see what it looks like, and we'll adjust from there. All right, definitely too low, very sputtery. I'm going to go up to the next notch now. A little better. Okay. Okay, I'm digging that. And that was on 1/8 inch. Cool this thing down a little bit. Then we'll start in on our project. Okay, initial thoughts. Initial thoughts going into it. Obviously, the lower the voltage, you heard that pop, right? So let me just play that again for you. Real sputtery. You really hear like just a way out of control kind of bacony sound, right? And if I go up to like the next setting, okay, really not much different. But if I go up to 110 volts or 220 volts, in this case, at 18 volts, it really does smooth out. So I kind of dig that. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to power this thing down. I'm going to move and clear this stuff off. We'll cool it off, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get to our project. So let me grab my pliers. Let's cool this thing down. So there's another interesting part about the MIG 140. It lets the fan run for a few seconds afterwards just to kind of cool everything down, and then goes into its hibernation mode. Let me grab some pliers, clean this thing up. All right, my final thoughts on the SUNGOLD MIG 140. Not bad, not bad. Pretty affordable option. Those of you that are out there looking for an inexpensive welder outside of the ones from Harbor Freight, maybe something that you can have shipped to your house, might check out the Amazon affiliate link down below in the description to SUNGOLD Power MIG 140. They have other platforms on there, but this one in particular that we reviewed today comes in at about $240. Might be a coupon code available down there. Make sure to check the description and it'll take you right to it. Likes. I like the trigger, okay? Similar to the titanium, easy for me to hold, kind of has a little bit of a contour to it, so you don't have to like be completely straight. You can kind of just, it's a nice feeling overall. I like the hook. I like the hook, so that way I can hook it to things. Maybe like our little ashtray that we did. Will it hold? It'll hold. Okay, pretty cool. When I want to get into the lid, I can hook it up there. It's still a little bit warm, letting it cool off. The ground clamp. Okay, I understand, not the most expensive or prestigious of ground clamps, okay? But if you wanted to upgrade your ground clamp, you can. You just undo the little fastener in here, looks like a 10mm and a Phillips. You take that off, you can upgrade your clamp, okay? There's upgraded clamps available on Amazon as well as at Harbor Freight. If I can find a couple that I think you guys might enjoy better, I'll talk to Mike Festiva and see what his recommendations are. If you guys haven't checked out Mike Festiva's channel, make sure you do so. I'll put his channel link down in the description. He does a lot with welding and he covers a lot of different welding machines, so check him out. And then I'm sure he's going to have some good recommendations when it comes to an upgraded ground clamp outside of the one from Harbor Freight. A little project. Kind of cool, man, right? I kind of did this little, with all the spatter I had, because again, we're using flux core, and I could have cleaned it up. What do they say? A grinder and paint makes me the welder that I ain't. I think I've heard that numerous times before. But I was kind of digging it. I was kind of digging this spackle look here after a little bit, and I was like, I'm just gonna do that to the whole thing. Kind of make it look like some old relic or antique deep from the Davy Jones locker, okay? Outside of that, look, I had some fun today. It was kind of cool to get away from the automotive stuff for a little while, do something a little bit different. You guys got a chance again to see the Evolution chop saw in action. Love that thing. Love that thing. Flakes off. You don't got all these huge sparks going everywhere. Super easy to clean up. Guys, that's all I got for this video. Again, thanks as always for watching. The link will be down in the description to this welder, some welding supplies, and upgraded ground clamps. Again, check out Mike Festiva. Thanks as always for watching. Cheers and deuces.